All right, today we're going to look at PA Section 8, PA CDL manual. It's all about tank vehicles, okay? It's not a very long section, but we're going to read through it, point some things out, okay? And hopefully you'll do some practice tests and you'll do an exam on the section. And then hopefully you'll be ready, all right, to take your test. All right, so Section 8, tank vehicles. This section covers inspecting tank vehicles, driving tank vehicles, safe driving rules. This section has information needed to pass the CDL knowledge test for driving a tank vehicle. You should also study sections 2, 5, 6, and 9. A tank endorsement is required for certain vehicles that transport liquids or gases. The liquid or gas does not have to be a hazardous material. Tank endorsement is required if your vehicle needs a Class A or Class B CDL and you want to haul a liquid or gas in a permanently mounted cargo tank rated greater than 450 liters or 119 gallons, or a portable tank rated at 1,000 gallons or more. A tank endorsement is also required for C-Class vehicles when the vehicle is used to transport hazardous materials in liquid or gas form in the above described rated tanks. Before loading, unloading, or driving a tanker, inspect the vehicle. This makes sure that the vehicle is safe to carry liquid or gas and is safe to drive. Inspecting tank vehicles. Tank vehicles have special items that you need to check. Tank vehicles come in many types and sizes. You need to check the vehicle's operator's manual to make sure you know how to inspect your tank vehicle. 8.1.1 leaks. On all tanks, the most important item to check for is leaks. Check under and around the vehicle for any signs of leaking. Do not carry liquids or gases in a leaking tank. To do so is a crime. You'll be cited and prevented from driving further. You may also be liable for the cleanup of any spill. In general, check the following. Check the tank's body or shell for dents or leaks. Check the intake discharge and cut off valves. Make sure the valves are in the correct position before loading, unloading, or moving the vehicle. Check pipes, connections, and hoses for leaks, especially around joints. Check manhole covers and vents. Make sure the covers have gaskets and they close correctly. Keep the vents clear so they work correctly. Never drive a tank with open valves or open manhole covers. Check special purpose equipment. If your vehicle has any of the following equipment, make sure it works. Vapor recovery kits, grounding and bonding cables, emergency shutoff systems, built-in fire extinguisher. Special equipment. Check the emergency equipment required for your vehicle. Find out what equipment you are required to carry and make sure you have it and it works. Driving tank vehicles, hauling liquid in tanks requires special skills because of the higher center of gravity and liquid movement. High center of gravity means that much of the load's weight is carried high enough off the road. This makes the vehicle top heavy and easy to roll over. Liquid tankers are especially easy to roll over. Tests have shown that tankers can turn over at speed limits posted for curves. Take highway curves and off-ramp curves well below posted speed limits. Danger of surge. Liquid surge results from the movement of a liquid in a partially filled tanks. in partially filled tanks. This movement can have bad effects on handling. For example, when coming to a stop, the liquid will surge back and forth. When the wave hits the end of the tank, it tends to push the truck in the direction the wave is moving. If the truck is on a slippery surface, such as ice, the wave can shove a stop truck out into the intersection. The driver of the liquid tanker must be very familiar with handling a vehicle. Let me tell you guys a little story, right? My brother, when he first got his license, he he went to work for the company I was working for. At that time, it was a construction company, right? And we had this grinder foreman, and he was a bit of a prima donna, you know. Everything had to be absolutely perfect, and you know, he was the kind of guy, right, who puts down rags over his floor mats when you get in the vehicle. Right. Well, my brother, he's just, this is his first time, you know, driving a tanker. He got his endorsement, but he never drove a tanker before. He pulled up behind this guy and stopped and took his foot off the brake, and the surge pushed him right into the balls. Yeah. The surge pushed him right into this guy's truck. Oh my. It was considered an accident? Yeah, yeah. What makes it so funny, you know, day one you wrecking the boss's truck. Well, you know, looking back on it, I can laugh about it, right? Yeah. You know, I mean, this is 20, you know, heck, it's 22 years ago we're talking about. You know, but if you knew this grinder foreman, you'd be laughing too. This guy was a trip, man. Well, the big thing is you got to make sure you keep that foot on the brake, you know, and keep adequate pressure on that brake when you come to a stop, because that surge will push you forward. Well, so the pay thing with all these different jobs, you got hazmat tanker companies out there who don't pay that well, and then you've got ones that pay really well. You know what I mean? So the tankers that don't pay well, that means that they pay well. It's just people that have been there forever that's getting money. They want to stay with them before they pay. Well, guys, a lot of this being paid well and not being paid well is all about what you're willing to work for. You know, about how long you with the company. So let me ask you this. Yeah. So if you put a company driving, right, and you may start off making close to nothing. At some point, that company gonna boost you, though, right? It still operates like a normal, regular like job. They still give you raises and bonuses and things like that. Yeah. And then as the time go by, say you get 5 years, you got the ability to negotiate what you want done, or you can ask them to just let them know that. Well, you gotta find something in your best interest. Ultimately, they're not going to give you a raise unless you ask for it. You know what I mean? Not typically. You know. No, man, not in the trucking game. They don't. So what they give you is bottom baseline. Yeah, they're paying you the least amount that they can to keep you there. And then ask all this stuff of you, and then still don't. Right. But you know, it's all about squeaky wheel gets the grease too, you know. So if you're not happy with what you're being paid, you got to let them know. Yeah. I already know that. You know. But the big thing is, you know, you don't know, nobody knows what anybody else is getting paid. Yeah. You know what I mean? So the guy beside you could be making $5 more an hour than you, but you don't know. You know, unless somebody opens their mouth And if they open their mouth, they're going to be in trouble. You know what I mean? But we had, when I worked at that other driving school, right? They had they hired a new instructor at a rate higher than all the other instructors that had been working there for, 5 years. That's messed up. But she shot her mouth off. Yeah, what's that? Yeah, they hired this girl in there, man, and she was absolutely worthless. I mean, did nothing. Did nothing, man. I mean, she didn't do nothing in that school. She literally sat in that container all day. That's all she do. Once in a while, you'd see her out walking around. She never worked with the students. But anyway, all that's aside from the fact. But so basically, all right, so you got to watch out for that tank surge, right? That's a serious deal. All right, now bulkheads. So some liquid tanks are divided into several smaller tanks by bulkheads. When loading and unloading the smaller tanks, the driver must pay attention to weight distribution. Fill tanks evenly and do not put too much weight on the front or rear of the vehicle. All right. So bulkheads divide the tank into smaller tanks. Okay. You see this a lot with gas tankers, because they'll be carrying several different grades of fuel, you know what I mean? All right. So baffled tanks. Liquid tanks have bulkheads in them with holes that let liquid flow through. The baffles help control forward and backward liquid surge. There'll be less front to back surge than there is for tanks without baffles. Side to side surge can still occur. Unbaffled liquid tankers, sometimes called smoothbore tanks. These are the worst ones right here. All right, because they've got nothing to slow that liquid down. So unbaffled liquid tankers, sometimes called smoothbore tanks, have nothing inside to slow down the flow of the liquid. Therefore, forward and back surge is very strong. Unbaffled tanks are usually those that transport food products, milk, for example. Sanitation regulations forbid the use of baffles because of the difficulty in cleaning the inside of the tank. Be extremely cautious, slow, and careful in driving smoothbore tanks, especially when starting and stopping. Outage.
Real quick, sir.
Go ahead. What about what? Yeah, that's how they. Sure, yeah. Absolutely. Well, they pump it into the tanker and they take it to a facility for pasteurization. You know what I mean? Or it'll be pasteurized already and they'll take it somewhere else where it can be bottled. I'm not exactly sure how they do that, or why they. Yeah, but they do move it in large tankers. Oh, they have to clean the tank every time they use it. Guy will get down in there with a suit and he'll spray that thing down with chlorine.
You gotta get in there every time, even if it's not milk, you get in there every time. I thought they have a whole company that cleans tanks.
Yes, they do. Yep. Those companies are normally located around these chemical plants.
I know we got one up there. Is it by the Porter woman?
Probably, yeah. Yeah. All right, so outage. Never load a cargo tank totally full. Liquids expand as they warm, and you must leave room for the expanding liquid. This is called outage. Since different liquids expand by different amounts, they require different amounts of outage. You must know the outage requirement when hauling liquids in bulk. How much to load? A fuel tank of dense liquid, such as some acids, may exceed legal weight limits. For that reason, you may often only partially fill tanks with heavy liquids to stay within legal limits. The amounts of liquid to load into a tank depends on the amount the liquid will expand in transit, the weight of the liquid, and the legal weight limits. Okay, that's on the test, by the way.
Okay.
Anything you see highlighted in here is going to be on the exam for this section. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So in order to drive tank vehicles safely, you must remember to follow all safe driving rules. A few of these rules are listed below. Because of the high center of gravity and the surge of the liquid, you must start slow. You must start, slow down, and stop very smoothly. Also, make smooth turns and lane changes. Controlling surge and braking. Keep steady pressure on the brakes. Do not release the brakes too soon when coming to a stop. Brake far in advance of a stop. Increase your following distance. If you must make a quick stop to avoid a crash, use controlled or stab braking, okay? So with a tanker, if you have to do an emergency braking maneuver, controlled or stab braking, all right? Well, you would think so, but that's what it says, so that's the answer, all right? Controlled or stab braking with tankers is what they're saying. All right, so yeah, I agree with you. So really, you never want to have to brake hard, you know? And if you're applying those 5 things, you know, those 5 principles about your following distance, and you're watching your mirrors, and you're looking 12 to 15 seconds, you know, if you're doing all these things, making sure you don't have anybody beside you, or you know, and you've got adequate following distance, it's very unlikely that you'll ever have a hard braking event, you know? And there are occasions where it happens, like if you're on a back road and a deer runs out in front of you, you may brake hard, you know, just from reflex or whatever, you know. But yep, flatten them out. That's all you can do. Yep.
If a deer hits in front of the tractor, is it worse than when it hit the side? Carl said he had ran out to the side and he got caught in the wheels. It was destroyed, but it didn't have no effect on the motion of the 18-year-old. So what I'm asking is, if you run out in front of you and say you're running over it, will it be like, will it affect your driving? Will it make you steer off course, or will it do any damage?
Not if you're loaded. No, you're loaded, man. You'll flatten that dude right out. You won't even feel it hardly. Yeah, you'll steamroll him. You'll dough roller him right into a pizza. Pizza. Yeah. Well, you have to, you know, because if you try to swerve to miss them, you're gonna wreck for sure. And you know, half of truck driver deaths and accidents are the result of what?
Steering and braking, right?
Rollover. Yep, rollovers. Yep. All right, so slow down. Let's see here. All right, curves, slow down before curves, then accelerate slightly through the curve. The posted speeds for a curve may be too fast for a tank vehicle. Stopping distance. Keep in mind how much safe space you need to stop your vehicle. Remember that wet roads double normal stopping distance empty tank vehicles may take longer to stop than full ones. Skids, do not oversteer or over accelerate or over brake. If you do, your vehicle may skid. On tank trailers, if your drive wheels or trailer wheels begin to skid, or your vehicle may jackknife. When any vehicle starts to skid, you must take action to restore the traction to the wheels. All right. So how are bulkheads different than baffles?
Bulkheads are different than baffles. Bulkheads, no, that is it. Bulkheads is the ones that divide the tanker into different sections, right?
Yeah,
And baffles are the one that, is nothing to control it, it surges back and forth, right?
that's right. Yep. So what bulkheads are basically are baffles with a hole in the middle of them. Yeah. So they help prevent some of that surge. All right. So should a tank vehicle take curves on ramps or off ramps at posted speed limits?
No, this should be slowed down, smooth, control.
That's
It
right.
should be slowed down to the point where it's a controlled stop. I can't explain what it is.
Yeah.
But no, they said this is number 2, right? Yeah, number 2.
Yeah. So tank vehicles should definitely be going well below the posted speed limit, well below. Yeah, and downshift before you go into the curb. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So how are smoothbore tankers different from to drive than those with baffles?
Smoothbore doesn't have nothing, stopping the, flow of the surge,
Yep,
so it's more dangerous.
that's right. So the surge is much stronger, right, in a smoothbore tank?
Yeah.
That's right. All right. What 3 things determine how much liquid you can load?
Legal weight limit, the transitioning of the liquid when it grows in the,
Yeah.
when it grows and then the, weight of the liquid itself.
Yep. Yep. All right. So what is outage?
Shit, that's the one I forgot.
All right. So
Outage is the one where, I'm gonna give it a wild guess. Outage is the one where it actually expands.
yep.
Yeah.
It's room.
The tankers, just like it gave an example of the acid. Have your wood, so you got a partially load the tanker.
So outage is the empty space that you leave in the tank for the expansion of the liquid, right? All right. So how can you help control surge?
Brake stab and control.
No, help control surge. So control braking and stab braking would be like an emergency situation.
Okay.
But what would be a good way to control surge? How about braking smoothly,
Yeah.
slowing down gradually? Yeah, excessive braking would definitely cause greater surge. All right. So what 2 reasons make special care necessary when driving tank vehicles?
Danger.
Yeah. So the surge and remember we said something about it, tankers being what heavy? Top heavy. Yep. So they with that side to side surge, that may make them easier to flip over going around a turn. All right. Okay. Good job, guys. All right. Now this is what we're gonna do. Let me shut this off.